Pokey Bros? Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be starting my new series. This series is a rewrite of Ash's Unova journey. In my opinion, Unova is one of Ash's worst journeys, so I'm excited to get to change it around. Now, the first major thing is Ash won't reset from Sinnoh to Unova like he did originally. He will carry over all of his Pokemon knowledge. Also, Ash is going to stick to a team of 6 Pokemon, unlike the original anime, as most of his team was super underdeveloped. But now with the intro stuff out of the way, let's hop in. We would open with 10-year-old Ash Ketchum and his partner Pikachu in their bedroom. Ash would then head outside his house, where he would meet up with Professor Oak. We would then learn that Ash and Professor Oak were heading to a region across the sea called Unova. Ash would be really excited to meet some new Pokemon. After getting off the plane, Professor Oak and Ash would be greeted by the regional Professor Juniper. Professor Juniper would then offer to give Ash and Oak a ride to her lab. Ash and Oak would gladly accept. After arriving at the lab, Ash will learn that today is the day that the trainers of Unovan Town will get their first Pokemon. This would excite Ash, as he would like to meet the Unovan starters. Just then, 2 trainers would enter the lab. The trainers would introduce themselves as Hilbert and Trip. Hilbert would be super energetic and happy, while Trip would be much more serious and almost mean. Professor Juniper would then let out the starters, introducing them as Snivy, Tepig, and Oshawott. Ash would be interested in the starters, thinking that they looked especially cute. Trip would then step forward, picking Snivy as his starter. Hilbert would then select Tepig, thinking he looked pretty cool. Oshawott, seeing he hadn't been picked, would begin to cry. Ash would then comfort the tiny otter Pokemon, trying to make him feel better. Juniper, seeing how much Oshawott liked Ash, would offer him to Ash. Ash would gladly accept, adding the otter Pokemon to his team. Everyone would then make their way outside. Now outside, Hilbert would challenge Trip to a battle. However, Trip would declare that such a trainer as himself needs a worthy first opponent. Ash, not liking Trip's cocky attitude, would challenge him to a battle, saying, "I placed in the top 4 in the Sinnoh League. Is that worthy enough for you?" Trip would then say that is perfect, and the two would then head to the battlefield behind the lab. Juniper would warn Oak that Trip had studied extensively and is a very capable trainer. Oak would tell Juniper that Ash doesn't have to worry. Trip would then send in Snivy, and Ash would select his partner, Pikachu. The battle would be fierce, with Snivy using a barrage of Vine Whips, and Pikachu would be able to dodge them all. Eventually, Pikachu would take Snivy out with a powerful Iron Tail, showing Trip that Ash wasn't a pushover. Trip would then say, "If you had used Oshawott instead of your overpowered Pikachu, I would have won." Hilbert would then challenge Ash to a battle, and Ash, wanting to prove a point, would accept, deciding to use Oshawott. The battle would begin, and Tepig would fire off a flurry of embers, and Oshawott would struggle to dodge. Ash, seeing this, would tell Oshawott to use his water to blast the embers. This would work, and Oshawott would then charge him with a tackle, knocking Tepig back. Tepig would fire off another ember, but Oshawott would blast it away, then finishing Tepig off with another water gun. Oshawott would then do a little dance, happy that he won. Trip would storm off, not saying anything, just upset that Ash had proved him wrong. Hilbert would then profess his goal of qualifying for the Unova Pokemon League. Ash, hearing about the league, would ask Professor Oak if he could stay and participate. Oak would let Ash do so, and he would then set off on his Unovan journey. We would then see Ash and Hilbert on Route 1, just outside of Unovan Town. While on Route 1, Hilbert would try to catch up a trap, but would easily escape the Pokeball before running away. Ash, seeing that Hilbert didn't know how to catch a Pokemon, would decide to teach him. Ash would tell Hilbert to watch before approaching a Pidove. Ash would then send in Pikachu to battle. Ash would explain how he needed to weaken a Pokemon before capturing it, as Pikachu would take the Pidove out with a Thunderbolt. Ash would then toss a Pokeball, capturing the Pidove. Ash would offer the Pidove to Hilbert, but Hilbert would tell Ash that he wants his first capture to be his own. Ash would understand, and the duo would then continue their travels. While walking, Ash and Hilbert would be talking about their excitement for the beginning of the gym challenge, when, crash! Ash would smack heads with a girl. The girl would apologize, then introducing herself as Bianca. Ash would accept the apology and then would ask Bianca what she was doing out here. She would then explain that she had gotten her first Pokemon a year ago, but her dad wouldn't let her go on a journey. However, she recently got a job as a photographer for Professor Juniper. Ash would think this was pretty cool and would then ask what she was taking pictures of. Bianca would then explain that she was taking photos for their Pokedex of Pokémon in their natural habitat. Hilbert would then ask what Bianca's first Pokémon was, and she would say Tepig. Hilbert would then reveal that he too had chosen Tepig, and they would both then let out their starters. The two would become fast friends. Ash would then ask Bianca if she wanted to travel with Ash and Hilbert to Accumula Town. Bianca would accept. Next, we would see Ash, Hilbert, and Bianca arriving at Accumula Town. Bianca would head to a store to buy more film, while Ash and Hilbert would head to the Pokemon Center to get registered for the Pokemon League. After registering, Ash and Hilbert would head outside, where they would see a large group of people in the center of town. The duo would head over there, where they would see a man named called Getsus, surrounded by a group of people who called themselves Team Plasma, giving a speech. He would say, "My name is Getsus, and I represent Team Plasma. You may believe that people and Pokemon are partners, but this isn't true. People oppress Pokemon, and if we really want them to be our friends, we must liberate Pokemon. Then, and only then, will we be equal." Ash would be enraged at what the man was saying, and he'd be even angrier when he actually sees people releasing their Pokemon. The large group of people would dissipate as Team Plasma leaves. Bianca would find Ash and Hilbert, saying, "What was all that about?" Ash would then explain that stupid guy thinks people are oppressing Pokemon. Another man would then appear, saying, "You really think that man is dumb? Let me hear what your Pokemon thinks." How very interesting. The man would then challenge Ash to a battle, and Ash would accept. Ash would send in Pikachu, and the man would send in a Zorua. Ash would call for a Thunderbolt, but the Zorua would dodge before attacking with a Pursuit, knocking Pikachu back. Ash would be shocked by the Pokemon's speed, but would then tell Pikachu to strike with a Quick Attack. Zorua would attempt to dodge, but he wouldn't be fast enough, being hit head-on. Ash would then tell Pikachu to follow up with a Thunderbolt, but Zorua would use Double Team, hiding himself. However, Pikachu would fire off a flurry of Thunderbolts, hitting all the clones and taking Zorua out. The man would then introduce himself as N. He would then explain that the idea of keeping Pokemon in their Pokeballs disgusts him. However, after hearing Ash's Pokemon, they say that they enjoy being his partners, which is a first for N. N would then set off, still intrigued by Ash's Pokemon. Ash would then ask Bianca and Hilbert if they are ready to set off. However, Hilbert would then reveal that he doesn't actually want to travel with Ash, as he feels that he can only become so strong if he stays with Ash, and that he needs to travel solo to reach his full potential. Ash would be upset, but he would understand Hilbert's decision. Ash and Bianca would then set off towards Striaton City. While on the road to Striaton, Ash and Bianca would be talking, when Bianca stops the duo because she sees something that piques her interest. She would then pull out her camera, and she would begin to capture a few pictures of some wild Lillipup. Ash would then suggest to Bianca that she attempt to catch one, and she would do so. Bianca would battle the Lillipup with her Tepig. It would be tough at first, with the Lillipup dashing around and smacking Tepig with tackles, but eventually Bianca and Tepig would get on the same page, and they would then take the Lillipup out with an ember before throwing a Pokeball and capturing it. The duo would then arrive in Striaton City. After arriving, the duo would head to the Pokemon Center to get their teams healed. While getting their Pokemon healed, Ash would run into a green-haired man. The man would introduce himself as Silent, and Ash would ask if he knew where the gym was. Silent would laugh a little, then saying that he does. After their Pokemon were fully healed, Ash and Bianca would follow Silent to the gym. Once arriving, Ash would be a little confused as there was no gym leader. Silent would then reveal that he was the gym leader alongside his two brothers. The brothers would then ask Ash which one he wanted to battle for his gym badge. Ash would think for a moment before deciding that he wanted to battle all three. The brothers would say that that was fine, and that Ash would have to defeat two out of the three of them if he wanted a badge. Ash would accept, and for his first battle against Chili and his Pansear, Ash would select Oshawott. The battle would be close, with Pansear charging with Fury Swipes after Fury Swipes, as Oshawott dances around the field, dodging the attacks, firing off water guns in between. However, a powerful Incinerate from Pansear would land, weakening Oshawott. Ash would then call for a water gun, knocking Pansear back and out of the battle, winning Ash the first of the 3 matches. Oshawott would then dance around, happy with his victory. Bianca would then cheer as she got some good pics of Oshawott battling. For the second of the 3 matches, Ash would use P-Dove as his opponent Cress uses Panpour. Panpour would fire off water guns at P-Dove, but she would keep her distance using her flight while trying to blow Panpour back with Gust. However, her gusts of wind are very weak, so Ash would tell P-Dove to get closer with a quick attack. The attack would land, but getting that close would leave P-Dove susceptible to a water gun scratch combo, leaving her very weakened. Both trainers would then call for their last moves, with Ash ordering a quick attack and Cress ordering a Fury Swipes. The 2 Pokemon would meet in the middle, with both attacks landing. But only P-Dove would faint. Ash would return her, telling her she did a great job, but he would begin to stress a little as he needed to win this final battle. For that battle, Silent would select Pansage, while Ash would select Pikachu. Pansage would try to get close using Vine Whip, but Pikachu would block the attacks with Iron Tail. Ash would tell Pikachu to attack with a quick attack, and it would land, knocking Pansage back. Silent would then tell his Pansage to use their move they've been working on. Pansage would then begin to charge up a Solar Beam. Ash, not having many other options, would tell Pikachu to counter it with a Thunderbolt. The 2 attacks would collide, causing a big explosion. The smoke would clear and both Pokemon would still be standing. Ash would then tell Pikachu to charge in with a quick attack. Pansage would try to dodge, but he would still be weakened from the previous attacks, leading to him being hit head-on. He would try to hold on, but the damage would be too much, with Pansage then fainting. Ash would then cheer before running out to hug Pikachu. Bianca would get a good pic of it. Silent, Chili, and Cress would then give Ash his first Unovan Gym badge, the Trio badge. Ash and Bianca would then begin to set off towards their next destination, when Ash would hear someone call his name. Ash would turn around to see Silent running up to him. Ash would ask if he was okay, and Silent would reveal that after the gym battle, he had realized how strong Ash was, and that he was interested in learning about and caring for his Pokemon. Silent would then ask if he could travel with Ash and Bianca. The duo would look at each other, before both saying that they would love to have Silent join them. And that's all for today, Pokebros. I hope you liked today's video. How did you feel about me replacing Iris with Bianca, or having Hilbert be a main rival for Ash? If you have any questions or criticisms, let me know. But with that out of the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, Pokebros.